Hi everyone, good morning and good evening to all. So we'll start for today's class. Okay, so we have completed from here to here till this much. Now the batch viewer and batch group. I'm going to start that today and then we'll see how we can load data from a landing to stage, and there's one more thing, from stage to base object from BO. I'll use the short form. Okay, that's like better. So as of now, what we have done is, let me go to the as of now what we have done is we created mappings, and let me open the architecture document. See, remember, it's just a small advice for everyone. Whatever things you do in the MDM, you track it with the architecture. Okay, so that way it will be much better. I mean, when you do something, you see where in the from where in the architecture this fits. Okay, so what we did is we uh, created mappings to load data from the landing to the staging. Then all these things we did it: delta detection, cleansing, trust, validation. I have not told you. I mean, I told you validation, but that's a different validation. This validation, what is written in here, is something that's different. This is a different validation. I told you in not in details. I just gave you a brief introduction, but no need to worry. I'm getting some disturbance. 1 second. Muting everyone. Okay, so this validation is slightly different. So no need to worry. I'll tell you again, because this validation needs to be configured in here. You need to go here, and in the base object properties, you see a validation tab. Uh, that's the validation rules. So you need to create the validation here. Okay, so now we have created the mappings, and I already told you this. This is auto mapping. Auto mapping means you do not need to create mapping from staging to base object. So that's like an automatic process. So that's done automatically. You don't have to do it. But from landing to staging, yes, you need to create a mapping. Now we just tested the mapping and everything is fine. Now what we need to do is we need to load the data, because see, we need to simulate the situation. We need to load the data from the source systems into the landing table, from landing to staging and staging to base objects. That is something we can do, but we cannot proceed further. Further means I cannot start the match and merge process now, because in order to start the match and merge process, you need to configure it. That has to be configured in here. In the match and merge setup, you need to configure that, and that's a very lengthy and long process. But what we can do is we can move data till the base object here. Okay, and to do that we need to run the jobs. So now let's try to understand the jobs. What is a job? What is a job? Job is something, a script. It could be a graphical script or anything that executes the data flow in technically in a data warehouse or in an MDM project. Job is something that moves data from one logic, from one system to another, or you can say from one environment to another, using a certain set of logic. That's not the complete definition of a job, but that's the definition of a data job. Okay, because a operating system job could be about archiving and all that. That's, we're not concerned. Now let's to deal with the jobs, we need to uh, study these two things. In the utilities tab, you have a batch viewer and you have a batch group. The first and the most important information for you is you have any questions, you can unmute and ask. So it's not a problem. It's not that you're going to disturb me also, because I have a habit of that. So you can ask me.
Hey, Sunil, I have a question.
Yeah.
What happened is last week I did attend your one trip from MDM point of view.
Your voice is
So,
actually breaking. I mean, I can hear you, but not completely. But I don't think others can also, or is it only the problem with me, or like others, can you hear his voice, Lakshmi's? Okay, I think there's a disturbance from Lakshmi from your microphone or something, because others also can't hear.
Yeah, Sunil, what I attended one of the interviews.
Okay.
I just took a mock. Like I didn't want to test myself. So what question they asked is a very typical thing. They told me, suppose I'm giving a VIN number, vehicle Carfax number, and based on that, when the Carfax number or the VIN number comes into the system, the car dealer should be able to validate the VIN number and find out by breaking the VIN number into multiple pieces, find out the year, make, model, accident, pretty much it's valid or not, and what parts are linked to it. So if they want to really look up such a values by breaking up one value which is coming to the MDM system, first if it is possible, if it is possible, where we can do it. I don't know that, so I'm.
That is the simple definition. He asked a very, very basic question. That's all about the cross-reference table, right? That is what the cross-reference table contains, right? If you have to, what you have to do, you have to join the master table, master data with the cross-reference data. Then you will get all the answers, and then you have to use this information with other systems. And then you
Other systems means what?
other systems means, let's say, see, first of all, remember that the master data and the cross reference provides the key information, but depending upon your need, for example, I already given an example of credit card. So let's say there is a credit card department, okay, and then you have a master data, that's a debit card department, and there's a savings, okay, then you create a master data over it. What is the master data contains? The master data contains the master data plus the cross reference. I mean, cross reference is separate, but still, I mean, that's the cross reference, comma, cross reference. Now the questions that you are asking is similar to department specific. Okay, to answer this question, this department should have access to the master data, because master data will tell you what are the all different model types that are there, because the uh, topic that he explained is regarding the manufacturing sector. If I understood it properly, it's regarding the manufacturing sector. In a manufacturing sector, what you have, let's say, Mercedes Mercedes 210, let's say that's a model, and then you have another Mercedes 320, something like that. So you have many products with similar names and all that. So you have to create a master data solution that's called as a product domain. So you have to create something called as a product MDM, okay, which combines all of these things, and then you have to use a cross reference. When you use the cross reference, then it's going to tell you what are the like, based on a model, you can also create it, or you can create the cross reference based on every single product. That depends upon the business need, but basically if you combine the master data with the cross reference information, then that should answer all your questions. If not, then you have to combine it with the source data as well. I mean, source team.
Yes, Sunil, what is that process called? It is called validation, or what is the technical
This
term
no, this
for
is not.
design?
This is the process architecture of MDM, right? Once you plant a tree, what will happen after 1 year? You'll get the fruit, right? So this is the fruit of the master data management. Once you create the master data solution, you get this.
Okay. So actually, one more extension to that, he told that 8 million to 9 million parts information is stored in one of the table, and based on this, the VIN number or some number he told, based on that, if you break that into multiple pieces, it will tie up to the parts also. So is that possible to load 4 million records and get the data, and later they want to create a hierarchy? I told I'm not that senior, so
Yeah, that's I mean, see, that's a very simple MDM product implementation. That's why I told you that you try to understand this architecture very properly, I mean very nicely. If you must, before attending interviews, you should be completely clear about architecture and the purpose of MDM, because this is not a complicated question. This is just a basic question on the
Sunil,
product domain.
could you explain the
My,
requirement
my
to
employer
us in
submitted
case of
somehow and I got a call. I don't know even that who is that and why is he calling. My employer did that.
Uh-huh. Okay, okay. No, what he is asking is like he has many different types of this. He's talking about in that interview a manufacturing sector, manufacturing case where you have different type of uh, parts or cards. It could be or many different type of like nut bolts and all those different type of parts. And because they have millions and millions of parts, for example, he spoke about 3 million or so. So it means it's a huge organization. So they are trying to master that product, the small products they are trying to have, and then they are trying to understand like how many different a particular product, how many different type of sub product subtypes they have, and they want to create a hierarchy. For example, the hierarchy, this is already there. I mean the hierarchy for products, you can already find it here. I'll just show you the question that he asked. Similar kind of hierarchy is already present here. So I'll just show you the hierarchy. This is the hierarchy for the product, and you can compare this to what he asked regarding this uh, parts. This hierarchy talks about computer parts, that is keyboard, mouse, and all that. And this hierarchy talks about like parts means what parts you have. You have tires, you have tubes, you can understand what are the things that are there in an automobile manufacturing unit. So the logic is the same. You need to create a hierarchy for that. The hierarchy is already there for this use case. You can also check it out, and anyway we'll be covering the hierarchy and we'll understand how we can create a hierarchy on specific domains. For example, see, this is a product hierarchy. So you have to implement in your project, you would have to implement some hierarchy like this in that use case. I'm trying to fetch the complete hierarchy, which will take some time. See, this is a product hierarchy. Till now we have been referring to a customer data model, that's a party data model, but this one is a product domain, that's a product MDM, product data model. And you can see it's all products, and then you have keyboards, and inside the keyboards you have this keyboards plus mice, that's inside, that's a part, and then you have the final product. Okay, so that's like the hierarchy. So here what we are going to have in the car domain, what we are going to have, we're going to have tires, tubes, nuts, bolts, all that. And then together when you have a steering, so there are different components that are needed to create a steering. So these components will report to the steering, and steering will report to the front part of the car, and the front part will be reporting to the full car, and the full car will be reporting to probably the uh, model. For example, you have say Mercedes 210, then that will be reporting to Mercedes, and then that will be reporting to the types of cars. For example, this can be a luxury car. Okay, luxury car, and then finally it will be all product. So this is a simple use case. Okay, if you understand the architecture properly, then you can easily answer the question. And let's say if you're not comfortable with this question in the manufacturing sector, but I think you should have answered. I mean this there's no, if you should not say that you cannot, but you should answer this.
Yeah, now I can relate the question. But thank you so much, Tanvina.
Yeah, if you want more idea on manufacturing sector, you go to this hierarchy manager and check this hierarchy. You will get an idea of all this. This is very very simple, even a child can understand. Like for example, you have keyboard for notebooks, then that reports to, you can say it reports to keyboards. Keyboards is actually, what's keyboard? Keyboard is keyboards. I mean you have keyboards, the parent is keyboard, which contain either keyboard plus mice combos, because keyboard and mouse are sometimes marketed as a single unit. and also you could have keyboards. Okay, so similarly you can check it. Okay, so we'll move ahead.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, we'll move ahead to the how. So first logic is, how do I run jobs? The first thing I think I already told you is, you are not going to create any jobs. So this is not like Informatica Power Center or IDQ or those kind of things where you need to create the job, you need to specify the parameters, all that. That's this tool is very simple, and it's very less things that you need to create, you need to master. So this is not complicated. There are no parameters, there are no variables, anything, or there is no such logic, because it's simple. So Informatica does not allows you to create jobs. That's the first thing. You're not supposed to. Even if you want, you cannot create any of these jobs. So who creates the jobs? The jobs are automatically created by the system. So Informatica automatically creates these jobs for you. And how Informatica creates it? Automatically, for example, when you create a mapping, then Informatica will automatically create this stage job. Okay, so this stage job is all about the mapping. We'll go to our ORS. Okay, for example, you can see these two jobs. So if you ask me who created this job, I did not create it. The system automatically created. Now what is left for you? For the thing that is left for you is, you have to execute this job. So when you say right click and execute, then this job is executed. So there are many different kinds of jobs you can see here. Okay, you do not have to concentrate on all of this. Okay, because let's go one by one, and let's track it with the architecture. In the architecture, the job that loads data from the source systems into the landing table is not included in here, because I already told you that that's not the MDM headache. Okay, you use an ETL to load data from source systems to the landing table, so that job is not here, and that job is probably in an ETL tool also. Okay, so you can use an external scheduler like AutoSys or something to kick off this job, but that's not in here. In here, the things start with this thing, that is how to load data from the landing to stage. From the landing to stage, the job is called as a stage job. This is the stage job. So probably, so when you can see here, you can easily see here, it's called as m underscore addr. It means if I run this, then what will happen? The mapping will kick off. That will load data from the landing. It will move the data from the landing to the staging table. That's a very simple thing. And once that is done, then you need to start the load job. What is a load job? That moves data from a staging table to the base object. Okay, and how does it do it? It's a one-on-one load with three things: trust, validation, and something that's not mentioned here, that's the lookup translation that will happen when you load data from the staging to the base object. Three things happen, but you can say the process is automatic. For example, if you have a name column in here, and if you have a name column in here, you do not have to map it, because that's auto mapped already. That's already done. You don't have to do it. Okay, so this is the load job that you need to run. Then once that is done, then you will not understand this now, because matching component has not started for you yet, but these jobs are related to matching. This is for tokenization. You will run this for tokenizing the job. Then this is for matching, to run the match job. And this is for merge, auto merge, and this is for manual merge. Okay, and this combines tokenization, match, merge in a single operation. So this is quite useful. Custom is demoted, so it was there in earlier versions, but it's a lot of things are demoted. Still it's there in the tool, but it's removed. I mean, it's not used. External matching, I already told you, it's if you want to use kickoff external matching, then you have to use this. This is related to the new smart search that is there in IDD. So you don't need to, I mean, you can see there are no jobs here. So automatically when Informatica needs, the jobs will be created and you need to execute it. Key match is something that you will learn in the matching, that uh, it's similar to like what you can say, it it's actually not a match. it's not a fuzzy matching, it's based on a key match. That is, if the primary key of the two records are same, then this will be used. So, and manual match, manual merge and manual unmerge, these are just for logs. Okay, so it means that you cannot run any jobs here, for especially this and this. You don't see any, you cannot run any jobs. So when you actually do manually merge the records or manually unmerge the records, this just shows you the logs, what happened and all that, how many records merge, unmerge, all that. But you cannot actually run anything here. Okay, so you cannot run any of the job, any of these jobs here. Match, I already told you. Match, analyze, match, it's a similar thing. Match analyze is something that will simulate the match process, but actually it will not load the data to the matching and the target tables. Okay, so that's the main difference. Multi-merge is again, this operation cannot be kicked off here. If you want to perform this operation, this has to be done through SIF, Services Integration Framework, that we'll learn later. Promote is for state management, okay, and that is also not needed. Reset match table, this is just for display. You do not, when you reset the match table, when the match reset will happen. If you change any match plan, okay, if you add a match plan or change any match logic, then that is reset automatically. So you do not have to do anything in here, reset match table, that's done automatically. Okay, and revalidate, it's if you change any validation rules, then only this comes into picture, but I have not seen this much in usage. But that's the only thing. If you change the validation options, then you will see that the job will be displayed here, a job will be created. Okay, otherwise it's not, and you need to run the job at that time. Stage, I already told you. Okay, synchronize, if you change any metadata structure. Okay, if you change any metadata structure, then you have to synchronize the job, and you can see as of now there are no jobs here. So if you do any of the base object changes or anything, then you will see that a job is displayed and you need to run it. And this is not needed until unless you want to manually validate the foreign key relationship. Okay, let's say if you play around the base object options, you disable, enable those missing children, those kind of things, then you would have to do it, but otherwise this is not needed. So the most important jobs are the stage job, then the token, stage, then the load job, then the matching jobs, that's the um, tokenization, then the match, and then the merge. These are the important jobs. And this job, accept non-matched records as unique, this job cannot be executed in this tool. This job can only be executed using SIF, that is Services Integration Framework, or it can, job can be executed using the merge manager. Okay, that's the thing. And when you execute a job, you just say right click and you say execute it. That's the simple, and you will see the logs directly here. It's a very simple thing. I mean, you can see the job got failed, then you can, if it got failed, then you can see the logs here. So all the logs will be displayed here. So failed running cleanse, I know this will be failed because the primary key PKSRC is not connected. So I told you, right, the PKSRC is an important object that that needs to be connected, and in our case it's not connected. So that's, I don't need to read through these logs because I already know what's the issue. But if you face an issue, then you can track it. Error was accessing a column is not nullable. This is clearly, it is telling the column is not nullable in the staging table and is not mapped. Okay, so this is how you can track it if you get any errors, and if it succeeds, then it will show you the logs here in place of error. So what you do is you go to the mapping bag, you can see this PKSRC object is not connected. Okay, so what you do is you connect this PKSRC object with the party ID, but remember we have to trim it. If you do not trim it, then that will be an issue. So you add a function and you trim it. It will be an issue. The reason is the party ID column that is stored in the address table is char 14, whereas the party ID column that is coming in here is different. It's varchar 50, so we have to, that's why we have to trim it. So party ID, I'll remove it and I'll, okay, now you can run it. If you run it, it should succeed. But anyway, we have not created any data because we have to simulate the data. We'll see if we can do that today, or I'll do it after the class. Still running. You have to right click and say refresh. So this is tick mark means it's succeeded. Total records is 0, inserted 0 and rejected 0, because we have not inserted any data into the landing table. That will do it now. Okay, that is why it is showing this way. But you can see this is basically the logs. This is the cleanse server configuration. This is where the cleanse server is installed, localhost cleanse. This is a source table name and all those things. Okay, and for any kind of jobs, for example in a stage job, it just shows me these three things. But if you see a load job, the statistics will be different. If I run a load job, okay, then the statistics will be different. There is a total records inserted, updated, no record, no extend. Most of the things you will see are actually for backward compatibility. It was there in earlier versions and it's not supported anymore, but most of the things are supported. For example, tokenized, rejected records, merged, contributed, xref, missing, invalid. You will see all of this when we load the data. Then we'll see most of them. And the matching, anyway, it's if I tell you matching, the matching job, you will not understand. So but just remember that the matching job has to be executed. There are two types of matches. The auto, this is the merge job. The match job is here. You need to say right click and execute, then the match job is executed. So that's a simple process. And this is how you execute the jobs individually. That is one by one you execute the jobs. That is, if you want to kick off the staging job, then you go here, and if you want to kick off the load job, then you go here and you right click and you say execute. This is a way, this is called as the batch viewer way. Okay, so you can also search the jobs here. If let's say if you're working for a big project and there are many things here, many jobs, you can also search it. That's another option. But anyway, this is all about starting single jobs. Then the next question would be, how do I, is there any way of combining the jobs and kicking them off? So can I do this? Yes, you can also do that. I mean, you can combine the jobs and you can kick them off. So that's the usage of a batch group. In a batch group, what you can do is you can create a batch group, okay, that will kick off this job, then this job, then this job, this job, this job. So you can say, if I start a batch group, what will happen? It will take data from the landing tables and the final output will be consolidated records. That is this step. Jobs, again, I'm telling you, these jobs are not created by any user. These are created automatically by Informatica. So I hope that answers your question. But if you're talking about the batch group, yeah, batch group is not created automatically. Batch group is something that you have to create it. Okay, so that's, you have to do it, batch group. Now let's because we have not created any matching components and all that, so it really, it's not about, it doesn't matter much. And scheduling also, today what I'll do is, because we do not have data, we'll cover the scheduling today itself. For example, the scheduling was in later stages. What I'll do is I'll move this to here, job scheduling. I'll also move this to here. That I'll tell you what about job scheduling. But first of all, let me complete this batch group. In this batch group, I already told you what's the definition. The definition, it's in, for power center guys, this is like a workflow, okay, and for non-power center people, this is just combining small jobs to create a big job. And when you kick off the big job, what it'll do, it'll start this small jobs. So that's all what it does. And you add a batch group, okay, you name it, let's say customer, and this is how you do it. The usage is very simple. You can master it within 5 minutes. So this is a very simple thing. What you do is, there's a start, there's a finish. Okay, so you right click and you say add level below, and then let's say, first of all, try to understand the structure. The structure here is, I have to run the jobs. Okay, because we have not created much jobs. So first of all, let me quickly create the jobs. I restarted the server. That's why you can see it's a bit faster than yesterday. CKR MLO. There are two staging tables. Okay, we'll go with the two staging tables. CKR MLO here, and then for contact, there's CKR MLO. Okay, and then for address, there is CKR. Let me quickly create MLO. See, I'm going with only these two source systems, but you when you do the lab, then you try to create all the source systems, because I have to demonstrate it, but you have to practice it. So you create all the source systems, because for me it's not important, but for you it's important that you create multiple source systems. And choose MLO, then you choose all the source systems. Then remember, because this is a child table, that's the address table, I must configure the lookup. If not, what will happen? What happens if I do not configure a lookup? The referential integrity will be broken. That is, if you can load child and parents independently. So you break down the referential integrity by doing that. And now quickly create the mappings. Party CKR is done. See, I'll show you a way of creating this mapping. Let's say I have created this mapping. I want to copy the whole logic into another mapping. How do I do that? You say right click, you say, instead of add mapping, you say copy mapping. Then what you do is you name it. So M party, then MLO. Okay, you see the landing table is already fixed. Okay, you cannot change it, but the staging table, you have to give a new staging table. This was CKR and this is MLO. So give the new CKR staging table, and you will see that this mapping that is created will be a copy paste of this party mapping. It's not that user friendly as you have in Power Center, but you do have an option, so that's good. Now do the same thing for address. Okay, now I'll create two more mappings, one for contact. Sorry, this one is for CKR. So contact, then CKR. Done. Can you observe one thing, that when I create a mapping and the staging tables vanishes here. For example, see, when I create an additional mapping here, so the landing table, it shows all the table. Staging table, it does not show me the STG contact CKR table anymore. You can see it only displays me the MLO table. The reason is, once a staging table is used in a mapping, that you cannot use it across any other mapping. Okay, you can do it this way, or you can simply copy paste it. Okay, you can directly copy it, or you can create it. What we'll do is, we'll say auto mapping, then for this party ID we have to trim it. Remaining transformations, I asked someone to create the transformations here. So you create the logic transformations here, someone do it for this here. Till then we'll be using one to one load, and then you copy it. Okay, I just rebounced this server yesterday, so you should be able to log in. If you are unable to log in, there should be some other problem. We'll catch that offline, but normally that should not happen. Okay, so this is like pretty much done. We just created these basic mappings, but there is something that is missing in these mappings. So the missing is the query parameter. So what will happen if I run this mapping? It will take data from this landing table. If you have 10,000 records in this landing table, it will pick all the 10,000 records and it will load it into the staging table, which is completely wrong. The reason is I have data in this party table. I have data landing party table, I mean I have data for all the source systems. So what I need to do is I have to give a where condition here, correct? If I don't give a where condition, it will take all the data. So for every mapping that you create, you must specify a where condition. So we'll go one by one. So to specify a where condition, you say enable condition, and you can say directly, you can type like where src is equal to mlo. Okay, you copy that as well because you can validate it. See, you can observe one thing. You can either give it in this way directly src, or you can also give in where. Both are same, so doesn't matters. Enable distinct, you do not need it because anyway, if you want to use enable distinct, what it will do is on the landing table it will fire the query as enable distinct. So that's the simple thing. This is CKR. See, remember, in the lab when you're doing it, you also do it, because if you do not do it, you will see that your mapping picks up everything, which is completely wrong. Yeah, you'll be in a big mess if you do not do it. So we are done with this basic mapping structure. You do not have to truncate the data manually because that will be automatically truncated. The question was, how can I truncate the data in the staging table from the backend? So first of all, you do not have to do it because automatically it is done. But let's say if you want to do it, then go to the database and just execute the truncate table statement. That's simple. Okay, so because landing table and staging table, level table, truncated load tables, it means that it really does not matter if you truncate them or not, because uh, it I mean it matters, but because they do not store any permanent data, so even if you delete the data in the staging table, that really does not matter much. Yeah, if you want to do selective deletion, see, staging table is already selective. You do not have to be selective because landing table is selective, because landing table contains data for all the source systems. So you have to be selective. That is, I am being selective here. But staging table, you don't have to be selective because staging table contains data only for that particular source system. For example, this staging table.
I mean, just in case if we forgot to give this query parameter.
Yeah, you simply go here and say truncate table. So the way you execute truncate table in the database,
Backend is the
yeah,
same.
it's the simple procedure. But remember that procedure is not same for base object. Okay, so base object, you should not go and directly truncate the table. That is completely wrong. But for landing table and staging table, I said both are truncate load tables. So truncate load tables means you can truncate them in any way. But base object cannot be truncated randomly. That will lead to data pollution. Sorry, data corruption, not pollution. You'll be in trouble. The only way to delete data from the base object is via SIF, using this SOAP tool that I'll tell you later. Okay, so let me log in.
Sunil, no requirement for loading, deleting anything else other than underscore stg, right? I was thinking that we had to, probably clean up the rejects, error tables, and stuff like that. Am I wrong?
They are automatically cleared. I mean, the principle of the reject table is, I mean, the raw table is will be retained for whatever time you configure, so there's no question about the raw table. And the reject table is automatically removed when you run the job next time. Automatically that is also truncated and loaded.
So like, I mean, like for a bad load, right? Bad load, are there like bunch of like cascade delete kind of a thing? Do we need to do, or is it fine?
Cascade means, are you
If
talking
it,
about base object staging, all
no,
those?
no, no. The staging only staging. Say in our case, we loaded bad data, right?
Correct.
So
Yeah, you have
so we
to
want to get it.
you have to do that manually, or else you can the better way, if you're talking about cascade, for example, if you also want to remove the reject tables and all that, there's a reason for that. You might want to do it, and if you want to do it, then you would have to use the clean table. I'll just quickly demonstrate and show you using the it. Now we are talking about SIF, Services Integration Framework. So that's the only way of deleting data from the base object, and cascade delete. If you are talking about cascade delete, then you can also do that manually, but it's better uh, if you let Informatica MDM handle that, so that there is no data pollution or corruption. This is a very good question, because the reason is you will get this question in interviews, so you can remember this.
So basically, so what if SIF is not configured? If it is
SIF,
coming from a couple?
you do not have to configure SIF. SIF is configured default. I mean, when you
Default it is
install
installed.
it's installed in the product, so you just have to call it. You do not have to configure it. Basically, there are two types of SIF. There's a generic SIF. There's an ORS specific SIF. Generic SIF is configured automatically. For example, you do not have to do anything. When you install the product, you can directly kick off this SIF operation. But ORS specific SIF APIs has to be configured in here in the SIF manager. You have to go to the SIF manager, and then you have to say generate and deploy ORS specific. First of all, refresh. Once you refresh, it will take some 5-10 minutes. You can try it later. You say refresh. Once refresh is done, say generate and deploy ORS specific SIF API. But that is only needed for ORS specific. But ORS specific SIF API is not that important. This generic SIF API is important. This is enabled by default.
So,
Okay, you do not have to configure it.
so which one is the interface to the external
Both are
sources?
interfaces. This is object specific. This is generic. For example, this ORS specific, you can see here. For example, let's say LU country. So
Mm-hmm.
a put operation means to insert data into the table base object. That's the meaning of a put operation. You can
Yeah.
see the put account, put address, put contact, put hospital. You can see many put here. It means if you kick off this put account, what will happen? It will put data into the account table. But if I want to put data into the address table using this SIF API, I cannot do it. So you can see this is object specific. Okay, but here this is generic. For example, you have a put here. Okay, if
Mm-hmm.
you want to put data to any table in the world, you can use this, but this is specific to that ORS. If you have uh, specific to the ORS means in this ORS I have how many objects? I have 3 base objects. Okay, in so this you have to generate it for every ORS. So this is not that much useful, but it's useful, but not as important as the generic APIs. This is specific to the ORS and specific to the object. You can see here, this is even anyone can understand this. You can see here, get operation means reading. You can see it is object specific. For example, account table getting, address table, contact table getting, and all that. Okay. Yeah, see if you can see, you do not need to wait for me to go to the SIF class. Okay, you can directly, what you can do is you just install this SIF tool. If you want, I can also share this link with you, but you can simply go here and say download SOAP UI. In US the internet connection is very good, and this is some 100 MB something. So download SOAP UI, and then just say next and install it. Okay, so that's easy. Once you install that, you will see this in the desktop. You just saw that I double click and opened it. Once you open it, because I have already configured it, so you can see here, let's say if I do not configure it, what you need to do is you go here, file, new SOAP project. Okay, you go to here, file, say new SOAP project. It will ask you for the WSDL. Okay, because we are kicking this off as a web service, so we need to give the WSDL. Now what is the WSDL? The WSDL is you are accessing it here in this way. Okay, see, this is, if I click on this, you will see the tool. Okay, you don't go here. What you do is you click on CMX, then you say request slash WSDL. You should be able to open this in your local machines. Okay, so there should not be any issue. You should be able to open it. And what you do is you just copy this, you go here to, and you say Control V, paste, and project name you can give anything. Let's say if I say test, or you give any meaningful information, because I already have created many different. I don't want to create, I just want to create it temporarily, so I'll say temp and say OK. Then the soap tool does everything for you automatically. I mean, you, everything the soap tool does, you do not have to worry, because you can see, just forget about these three, just concentrate on this one. You can see these are the different SIF requests that SOAP has already created for you. So there are approximately 80, I think 80 or 90, I did not count it, but it's, I think it's probably 80 or 60, 70, 80 some SIF APIs total. This many APIs are there. You can call any API. For example, see, if I want to clean a table, so you have to use clean table API. So let's say if I want to kick off this thing, so what's the objective of this clean table, and where do I find the documentation for this clean table? The documentation, you can find it in the SIF guide. Okay, I'll just very quickly, I'll just show you. You need to go here, then you open the SIF guide. Okay, then in the SIF API reference, you see the reference SIF APIs. These are the reference SIF APIs, and we were talking about clean table. This is it, clean table. You can see what it does. Request removes data from the ORS table and its companion table. Just try to understand this term. Companion table means this is called as a cascade delete. Okay, so this is the cascade delete that you have. So what's a cascade delete? In a base object, what is a cascade delete? What will happen if you do a cascade delete or a companion delete? So basically, what happens is, how many tables you have? You have, for a base object, these are the supportive tables. Okay, and for staging tables, these are the supportive tables. So cascade delete means it will automatically delete data from all of these tables. You do not have to do it manually. If you want to do it manually, what you have to do is you remove data here, then here, 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 in all of these 11 or 13 tables. If history enabled, it will be 13 tables. If history is not enabled, it will be 11 tables. So you need to delete data from all of this table, and the staging table also you need to do the same thing here. But with the click of a button, that is using this SIF API, you can do that automatically. You can try this later also. Once you after the class, you can try to configure this using this. So what you do now is you go here, you double click on this. Okay, there are certain parameters that you need to provide. Okay, the first parameter is the username. Username is already, you know, admin. Password is also admin. Encrypted is false, because I'm not giving you an encrypted password. See, there are a lot of things that I'm not going to use it. This security payload and all that, this for external authentication, all that, it's not needed. So I just remove it. What's the ORS ID? Where do I get the ORS ID? This is how you get the ORS ID. You go here, you go to the databases, say connect to the master database. This is the physical name is not, sorry, you click on the physical name. Let's say online 3. This is the ORS for us. So this database ID is nothing but the ORS ID. You copy this database ID, then you go here and you simply paste it. Okay, so that's simple. Interaction ID and all that I'm not going to use. See, remember, whatever you are not going to use it, you remove that. Whenever it says optional, you can remove it. You better remove it. If you don't remove it, what will happen? You will see that it will throw an error. When I kick off this safe job, you will see that it throws an error. Okay, so better remove it. and optional. This JMS reply is also not needed. I'm not going to use it. This JMS correlation ID is also I'm not using it. Yeah, this you have to provide. The Cyperion object UID. So Cyperion object UID means what are you trying to clean? So I'm trying to clean, let's say, base underscore object. This is the convention. Okay, you have to give base object. For base object, if you want to clean a package, then you have to give package dot. Where do I get the documentation? You learn all of this when you go to the SIF class. But remember, if you want to clean a base object, you need to give base underscore object dot the base object name. That is, let's say ADDR I want to clean off. Then I give this, then say clean staging. So this will automatically clean its companion base object tables. But here, if I say true, then the staging table is also cleaned. Okay, this staging table is clean. If I say false, staging table will not be clean. Use truncate, yes, always use truncate. And I don't need to tell you what's the difference between a truncate and a delete. A truncate is a DML and delete is a a truncate is a DDL and delete is a DML operations. And like truncate does not generate any logs. Okay, so it's better to use a truncate that improves performance. So we are almost done with this configuration. Now I'll kick this off. What will happen when I click this submit request? What happens when I click this submit request? This job will be kicked off and this request will be sent to the MDM tool, the MDM engine, and the API that will be SIF API that will be called is, this is the SIF API clean table. That's the SIF API that is called. And let me kick this off. So now it is running. You can see here. Okay, it was running, so it got completed. 1278 milliseconds. Let's see what's the output. Successfully written tables, successfully clean tables, address table, then the staging table. Okay, so you can see this staging table is also cleaned. The staging companion tables, OPL, raw table, and all that, and all the staging table, and then this EMI table, control table, dirty table. I told you, right? Almost, if you count, then probably it will be almost like 20, more than 20 tables are automatically cleaned in a single step. Okay, so this is the cascade merge. This is important for you to understand because this could be an interview question. How do you delete data? As well as, let's say if this is not an interview question, let's say when you load the data and if you want to delete it and if you want to again load it, you would do that many times. Then how do you do it? Because this is the only way of doing it. If you're asking me, is there any other way? There is no other way. I mean, you have a script like a clean batch table, but that script is actually based on this SIF API only. Okay, so the only way of doing it is using this SIF API. Yeah, if you're asking me, can I do it using the SOAP tool? The SOAP tool is the easiest way to do it, but that's not the only way to do it. This, you can call it using Java, you can use enterprise Java bins, you can use many different types of tools, architectures to do it, but this is the most easiest way of doing it using SOAP. Yeah, you can also delete partial data using delete statement. This is slightly a lot of parameters you need to provide, but yes, you can also delete uh, selective data. When I say selected data, means data only from a base object, and also if you want only to delete one cross reference, not to delete actual base object data, that also you can do it. That control also you have. Okay, so basically you are going to use delete to do selective, and this is for cleaning the full table. Okay, you remember and you try it. You can try it. Don't try it for this online lab 3. You try it for your lab, because probably I'll load the data, then if you delete it again, I have to reload it. Okay, now let's go back to the batch viewer and let's try to finish it off today, batch group. So what I'll do now, so I think I created one batch group. Okay, let me create one more once again you say take a log, say add a batch group, say customer, and I'll say add level below. Now see, remember the staging jobs. What is a staging job? That loads data from the landing to the staging. That's the staging job. A staging job can be run in parallel. It means what I can do is I can run these two jobs, and I can run these job, and I can run these jobs in parallel. So when I say okay and I kick off this job, when I say start, what will happen? All these jobs will be, it means the 6 mappings that we created will run in parallel. So this is completely normal. That's completely permitted in MDM. You can do that. But when we talk about the next step, because once this is done, now in the architecture, what we need to do? So that when data has been loaded from the landing to the staging table, what do I need to do? I need to move the data from the staging to the base object. That's called as the load job. So the load job you cannot run in parallel. Okay, so the load job you must run in serial. That's the restriction, that's the limitation, whatever you want to call it, you can call it. So you can, starting from version 10 onwards, you can run dependent jobs, but it's better you don't try it, because that's still, there are a lot of bugs in that. Okay, so as of now you remember that you have to run all of these things in uh, parallel. So what I need to do is I need to add a level below, and first what do I need to start? I need to start the party job. Why party? Party is the parent. Okay, what if I start the contact job first? That's wrong, and that will throw an error if I do that. So I must start the party. Can I select these two jobs? Is this correct? This is not correct, because I cannot, even on the same table, I cannot run these two load jobs. So this is incorrect. Okay, so you remove this job, you add a level below, and you say party, you add this job. Once that is done, then you say add level below and say address or party, sorry, address or contact, both you can do it. So add level below and say address. You can see, you can observe that once I am selecting this, then the jobs are not showing off. I'll tell you this force update, but first let me complete this. Add level below, then the load job, then add level below, then the contact job. So this is like, till this it is done, from here to here and here to here, this is done. But in order to complete the process, you need to add the match job, and you can say add level below, and you can say add the, this is the match job, match and merge for C party. Okay, and similarly you can add the match job for address and contact. That will complete the whole flow. Okay, but anyway, I'm removing this match job, because once we go to the matching, then we'll do that, not now. And yeah, what's this force update? The force update means when you, let's say, load Sunil, and let's say the timestamp is 2011, sorry, 2016 something, some you give this date 01, say 01. Okay, and let's say if I load this job, what will happen? This data will be moved from the here landing to stage to base object. Okay, but without changing anything, if I just simply again I try to rerun the job, what will happen? Informatica already knows that this row was processed earlier, and there is no change to this row. So what Informatica will do is it will simply, it will not process the job. What it will do, if you go to the batch viewer, it will simply neglect the record. Go here to the batch viewer, you will say that no action. Okay, I'll demonstrate this when I load the job. Okay, so it will say no action. But if you say force update, what will happen is, so even if nothing has changed, even if it's 100% it is same as earlier record, if you say force update, irrespective of anything, the data will be updated in the base object. That's the meaning. You never want to do that. I mean, you don't want to do that until unless you you're testing something. Okay, this is only in testing. In production, you should never use it, because it's like unnecessary update you are doing. So that's it for this Okay, this is already there. Let me remove this and save it because I don't want to add the match job now. And how do I start this job? You start this job, you go to control logs and you say execute. If you say execute, then the job is kicked off. What happens when the job is kicked off? You can monitor the logs in here, as well as if you want to monitor, you can go here in the batch viewer and let's say refresh, then you can also monitor the job here. For example, you just saw here 9-2, that is 9-2. So the job just kicked off here. Okay, so I hope you understand. The batch viewer and the batch group will mostly will go with the batch viewer, and once everything is done, then I'll show you how to. There is nothing to show up. This is very easy only, but my objective is to show you step by step how to load data from here to here. And actually what happens, it's not all about loading data. What happens when we load data, what are the backend tables that are changed and that are impacted. So all those things we can only understand if I run step by step. If I start the full job, what will happen? From here, this will be the input, this will be the output, and you will not be able to see what happens in the backend. Okay, and this covers what's the batch viewer and batch group and the job scheduler. Now, how do I schedule the job? So as of now, you know that either you can start the individual jobs here and you can start the batch jobs here. Okay, but if I want to start this job from an external scheduler like AutoSys or any scheduler, for example, let's say if I have a scheduler, this is my personal scheduler, but anyway you can correlate this with scheduler. Scheduler means this just used to schedule jobs. Okay, so if you want to start a job from the scheduler, what I'll do is today I'll move this back because I have to have some other work. So I'll tell you what is how to do that, but we'll cover this in here only. Guys, there's some disturbance going on. Okay, so you as of now you remember that the way to start jobs in AutoSys or in any scheduling tool is you have to use this. You have to use this script that is called as MDM execute batch proc.cmd. That is the name of the script. Okay, and these are the parameters like username, password, and stage means the staging job, and load means if you say change this to load, it will be the load job. Load job means you know that loads data from the staging to the load base object. Okay, and the table name, that is the staging table name that you need to mention. If you kick this job, kick means if I copy here and if I go and in the notepad, if I started sorry, in the command prompt, if I execute this job, you will see that the job is kicked off in here. Okay, so that is how you do it, but I'll demonstrate that later how, because there are a lot of things here.
So
There are many
there is no
parameters.
interface like in Power Center to schedule.
No, there's, I already told you earlier, there is no interface here. Here you cannot schedule the jobs. You can schedule the jobs. There are two ways of doing it. If you do not have an external scheduler, then you can use the scheduling capabilities of Power Center. That's one way. That's if your logic is small, then it's you can go ahead. But even the Power Center capabilities are also limited, I would say, because the dependencies and all that, you have to create command prompts and all that. That's pretty much, it will create very big mess. So it's better if you use an external scheduler. You This is like for Power Center guys, this is like the PMCMD. Okay, so at the end, the interesting thing is this is a Java program actually. This command prompt, inside this command prompt, you will see that this command prompt is nothing but it's a Java archive file, Java jar file, which is actually based on a CIF API. Because starting from Informatica 961 version, everything is moved to Java CIF. Okay, so that program will actually kick off this CIF APIs. Okay, for example, in that example, it will kick off this execute batch stage API. This will learn later. Okay, you remember the name because in interview this will be a common question. Okay, with that we'll finish the class. What you do is, meanwhile, what you can do is, I could not load the data because it will take some time. So what you do is you load the data to the landing tables. How do you do it? You go here to the database and directly you insert the data, and then you start executing this stage jobs and this load jobs. Okay, I have to simulate the data, but you do not need to wait for me. You can use this weekend to do that. Okay.
Do we have any files, data files?
Data files for these DDL statements are already there. I'm not taking much data here, but if you want data, then for other models, for example, in this sample model, if you log in, you will see that there are some thousands of data here in this sample. In this party model also, the data is in hundreds, and in here we'll actually test it with the sample less data, so that we'll track the match process for every customer. If you want, you can use this DML statement. You can use the DML statements. I'll send you these DML statements. You can use them, or else you can create it. I'll better send this DML documents to everyone.
Hey,
Or else,
Sunil, and
yeah.
I'm assuming the alerting is also has to be coming from third-party tool or
What
like that,
is,
right? Like
sorry?
say,
What has to be configured?
like email alerting or things like that, right? Job
Email alert.
completion,
Yeah,
things
this is
like that.
not in here, but if you want to enable email alerting and all that, then you can easily do it from either Unix or Power Center,
Right, right.
or probably user exit. If you want to use it that way, then you can also do it using user exits.
Okay.
No, for the IDD folks or the data stewards, they need to be alerted with the daily load process and the mismatches.
The
If they have to
mismatches,
do any
yeah,
manual.
that's for IDD also you have user exit. You have to configure user exit. There are many types of user exit for IDD. You have two types of user exit. You have user exit for hub process. The way to create and configure hub user exit in hub process is different, and the way that you do it in IDD is completely different, because they have different user exits. For IDD, you have to create some user exits at least. For hub, it's not mandatory, but for IDD you have to create, especially the merge user exit and all that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. If anyone has any more doubts on today's topic, they can go ahead.
Sunil, can I check with you for the connection because it's been troubling me. I tried all sort of things, but it doesn't work.
Okay, I think there is some issue. I need to check it. But actually, the I rebounced the server, and you can see that I mean, it's fine only.
No,
It's fast
yeah,
and
I sent you the screenshot. It says admin issues, and I've been even trying to, use that link to work from HTTP TP request instead of the file. It doesn't work either ways. So,
okay, okay, no problem. You send me the TeamViewer user ID password. I'll log in after this call.
okay.
There's no class tomorrow, no?
No, no, there's no class tomorrow.
Until Sunday.
Yeah, until Sunday.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.